Now came the dramatic changes which saw the parish nave extended and a third great tower with a steeple built where it stands today. The cloister was considerably enlarged and the surrounding buildings were also largely rebuilt. The small abbess's house is greatly extended and joined through the cloister with the newly enlarged kitchen, so that all visitors and residents could eat together. Between the house and the nave was a single-storey hermitage. It was at this time that the gatehouse was built, to act as a further gateway to the Abbey site and to provide additional accommodation. The whole scale of the site increased hugely and must have been quite imposing. At some point after the dissolution of the monasteries, when England severed its ties with Rome and Henry VIII ordered the suppression of the monasteries, taking the lands owned by the church for himself, the steeple fell down. Once the nuns left the abbey, the site was quarried. Valuable building materials such as lead and glass were reused for other buildings. Only the nave continued to be used for services, and a wall was built where the chancel starts today. Beyond it, the choir was still standing, but in a ruined state. There may have been remains of other buildings too. Over a number of years, the site was gradually dismantled. One of the first buildings to be constructed in around 1550 was on the site of the abbess's house, which was demolished and replaced with an Elizabethan manor house, complete with formal gardens. Behind it would have been the steadily decaying edifice that was the Abbey cloister. The story didn't stop in the 1500s. During the Georgian period in the 17th century, changes were made to the inside of the church. Galleries were built in the north aisle and at the west end of the nave to accommodate more parishioners, and for the wealthier members of the congregation, tall box pews were installed, which were paid for by and for the exclusive use of their donors. A multi-layered pulpit would have been sited centrally in the nave. The fallen tower was partially rebuilt and 5 bells installed, but the spire was never reinstated. Over time, the number of bells was raised to 8. The castellated walls were replaced by the current pitched roofs. Many, if not most, churches in England had wholesale changes made to them by the Victorians, following the trend of the Gothic revival. The new chancel was built and the organ placed in the base of the tower. Windows were enlarged and filled with beautiful Victorian stained glass. The galleries were removed and the boxed pews replaced with the pews you see today. The pulpit was replaced with a stone version next to the chancel. The current parsonage was built as part of the Victorian changes and imitates the Tudor period. Changes continue to this day. Modern lighting, an upgraded heating system, and modern contrivances such as radio mics and sound systems installed. The Abbey gatehouse became 2 private flats, was nearly demolished in error, and has now been restored to 2 luxurious apartments that continue to welcome visitors, its original purpose. Polesworth Abbey is a living and changing entity, and no doubt there are more changes to come in the years ahead. Maybe a new parsonage, and in the place of the long-gone Abbey buildings, a combined rear daughter and freighter complex. But whatever is to come, the past is still very much in evidence. Look at its walls, stone and windows, and you see its history before your eyes.